Hello, everybody. We are going to continue our learning of ordering integers and other rational numbers today in class and continue in our same packets that we worked in yesterday. So I'm going to start off just by refreshing your memories of the I can statements. So by the end of class today, you should have a better understanding of how to identify a rational number. You should be able to order statements of rational numbers in the real world. You should be able to explain statements of order for rational numbers in the real world and interpret statements of order for rational numbers in the real world. You should also be able to recognize that like a number 5, is less than 7, and -5 would be greater than -7. So if you had opposites, then they would be, your opposites would be greater than your opposites. I guess that's what that means. And you should know that because a number and its opposite are equal distances from 0. So those are our I can statements. Now, if we move to, this packet right here is what you should have out from yesterday. And I want you to go to the back of page 2, which looks like this, lesson 8, ordering integers and other rational numbers. Today is the 2nd. So we're going to go ahead and date the notes. We started with our exercise at the beginning of class today, so we are not going to spend time doing this exercise 1 because we ordered our integer or our rational numbers at the beginning of class in small groups. So now we're going to jump to example 1. And we're going to get right into the lesson today. So it says here that Sam has $10 in the bank. He owes his friend Hank $2.25. He owes his sister $1.75. Consider the 3 rational numbers related to the story of Sam's money. Write and order them from least to greatest. So what I would like you to do first is, from this example, I would like you to represent each of those rational numbers here in this blank space. So go ahead and write down what you think. Sam has $10 in the bank. Is that a positive or a negative? Write it down. He owes his friend Hank $2.25. Is that a positive or negative? $2.25. And he owes his sister $1.75. Write down whether you think that's a positive or negative. So go ahead, pause the video and do that right now. All right, so you should have wrote that Sam has $10 in the bank. That's a positive. He owes his friend Hank $2.25. That's a negative. And he owes his sister $1.75. That's also a negative. So those are the 3 rational numbers. Now you need to order them from least to greatest. So you need to be thinking, okay, which are my least rational numbers? And if you're looking here, the only negatives we have are these 2. So those have to come first. But the question is, which one comes furthest left? Which one is farthest away from 0? If you're still struggling with this concept, it's okay to draw a number line. Okay, so if you do that, then you're going to put 0 here, and you're going to put -1 and -2, and maybe you would even extend it a little bit more and put -3. Over here, we would have 10, which I'm not going to count up that high. You know that 10 is already the greatest because it's a positive. So the question is, where would -2 and 25/100ths fall? So right now, I want you to pause the video and see if you can put these 3 numbers in order from least to greatest. Okay, so on the number line, you should have determined that -2.25 would fall after 2, but before 3. And -$1.75 would fall closer to 2, in between -1 and -2. So that means that -2.25 is the furthest away from 0, making that the least. Then -$1.75, and then +10. Okay, so that is how you would order those 3 rational numbers. All right, for each of these problems in exercise 2 through 4, you are going to list the rational numbers that relate to each situation. So just like what we did here. So after you read the problem, you're going to write down the rational number that represents the situation. And then you're going to order them from least to greatest. And we're going to talk about how you made your determination. You don't really need to write in words, but we're going to talk about it. So number 2, during the most recent visit to the optometrist, that's an eye doctor, Khadisha and her sister Beth had their vision tested. Khadisha's vision in her left eye was -1 and 50/100ths, and her vision in her right eye was the opposite number. Beth's vision was -1.0 in her left eye, and positive 2,500ths in her right eye. So right now we have to represent each of those rational numbers. Now, if you count here, we have 1, 2, 3, and we have a number here that's represented as an opposite of this. So we're going to go ahead and write down all of those rational numbers as they gave them to us. Positive 1.50, because that's the opposite for Kadisha. And then we have Beth's vision. Now, these are not in order yet. Okay, so now we want to place those in order from least to greatest. So I'm going to let you try this. Remember, you want to start with your lowest negatives and work your way up to the positives. So go ahead, pause the video. If you need to draw yourself a number line, feel free. Otherwise, pause the video and put these in order from least to greatest. Okay, now if you look here, these are the two negatives. So you should have found that the furthest from 0 would be negative 1.50, then negative 1. Then your positives you're ordering from least to greatest, and you'll notice that this 0 is less than this 1, so that means the 2,500ths comes first, and the 1 in 5/10ths or 1 in 50/100ths comes last. So that is our order from least to greatest. And it says explain how we made our determination. Well, we kind of talked through that. We said that this was the furthest from 0, and then we just worked our way down the number, up the number line. Okay, there are 3 letters in Mrs. Thomas's mailbox. A bill from the phone company for $38.12. A bill from the electric company for $67.55. And a tax refund check for $25.89. Now it says here, a bill is money that you owe, and a tax refund check is money that you receive. So that's a good thing. So right now I want you to represent these rational numbers as either a negative or positive based on the words in the problem. So pause the video and do that now. Okay, so you should have found that a bill from $38.12 would be a negative because it's something you owe. A bill from the electric company in the amount of $67.55 is a negative. And the tax refund check is a positive because that's money you're getting back. That's a refund. All right, now you want to order those from least to greatest. So pause the video now and order those numbers from least to greatest. So you should have done negative $67.55 is the furthest from 0, so that would be the least. Then working our way up, negative $38.12 would be next. And our highest amount is our positive, which is $25.89. All right, turn to the last page of our lesson for today. And example 2 says ordering rational numbers from now greatest to least. Oh, I'm sorry. We're on number 4. We're still on number 4. I'm sorry. Okay, Monica, Jack, and Destiny each had their arm length measured for an experiment in science class. They compared their arm lengths to a standard of 22 inches. The listing below shows in inches how each student's arm length compares to 22 inches. Order these rational numbers from least to greatest. So we want to take Monica, Jack, and Destiny's arm lengths and order them from least to greatest. But if you notice, all of these are fractions and one mixed number, but they have different denominators. So there's a couple things we could do here, and we talked about this yesterday. You have 2 options. You could turn these both into decimals, all of these actually into decimals, and compare them that way. Or you can find common denominators for these 2, especially because this is a positive, so that's pretty easy. But these 2, we could find common denominators for. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and do that? So I'm going to take negative 1/8, and I'm going to take negative 1/2, and I'm going to scale this up to 8. So by multiplying by 4, I would get negative 4/8. So I can leave negative 1/8. That's fine, Monica. This is Destiny's negative 4/8. And I know Jack is positive 1 3/4. So we want to order these from least to greatest. So which would be the farthest least? That would be Destiny, negative 1/2. Then we would have Monica at negative 1/8. And obviously Jack is our only positive, so he would be our biggest amount. So that is our order from least to greatest for that one. Now we will go to example 2 and order from greatest to least. Jason is entering college and has opened a checking account which he will use for his college expenses. His parents gave him $200 to deposit into the account. Jason wrote a check for $85 to pay for his calculus book and a check for $25.34 to pay for miscellaneous school supplies. Write the three rational numbers related to the balance in Jason's checking account in order from greatest to least. Your first step is to go ahead and write those as rational numbers based on the wording of this problem. So pause the video and do that now. You should have wrote a deposit is positive, so that's 200. Writing a check is a negative, and a check for $25.34 is also a negative. So now we need to go ahead and order those from, they said, greatest to least. So what I would like you to do is pause the video and now order those integers from greatest to least. And remember, when you're ordering from greatest to least, your positives should come first. So you should have had negative or positive 200 is your greatest. That's obvious. Then your next greatest, closest to zero on the left, would be your negative $25.34. And lastly, your negative $85. So that is how you would order your numbers from greatest to least. All right, two last problems. For each problem, list the rational numbers that relate to each situation in order from greatest to least. Lastly, explain how you arrived at their order. All right, so number 5, I'm going to have you do on your own. So you have the following are current monthly bills. Now, a bill is something that you pay. That's not a good thing. So I want you to express each one of these as a rational number using positive or negative signs here. Then I want you to order them from greatest to least. Number 6, I'm also going to allow you to try on your own. You're ordering them from greatest to least. Again, be very cautious of these denominators. They are not the same. So you are going to have to think about what you can do to get these denominators to be, well, actually, you're only focusing on really these two because they're both negatives. This is a positive, so that should be pretty easy. But these two, you need to do something in order to get them similar so you can order them. So right now, you're going to pause the video and solve those on your own. Okay, so you should have expressed cable and internet as negative $122, gas and electric as negative $73.45, and cell phone at negative $45. Then you should have ordered those from greatest to least. Now the closest to zero would be greatest. So in our negatives, that would be negative 45, then negative 73.45. And lastly, negative $122 would be our least amount. Okay, on to the last one. Arranging the following rational numbers from greatest to least. So we are going to start with our greatest. Now, if you look, there's a positive. That's our greatest. Then 0. So those should have been easy. Now, these two are the tricky ones. Now, I would have done this. I would have taken negative a fifth and negative a third and made them have the same denominators, 15. So scale up by 3, get negative 3/15, and scale up by 5, and get negative 5/15. Now, when you're looking at those, we're looking at these now, which one is going to be furthest away from 0? It's going to be this one because it's in the negative side. So we're going to write negative a third. Oh, I'm sorry, we're going greatest to least. So I'm sorry, we're going to write negative a fifth because that's the greater. And then negative a third. Now, you could have also turned those into decimals, but I think it's easiest to do it that way. All right, that is the end of our lesson for today. I hope you understood what was going on a little bit better today than yesterday. And if you're all set, you can go to your first station and continue working on the 4 stations that are to be finished for today. Thanks for watching.